Hello, and thank you so much for attending the Global Innovation Award Judge Training session today. We're so grateful that you'll be sharing your time and talent with our students. My name is Lisa, and I'll be walking you through the training. In this presentation, we'll be going over everything you need to know to be a Global Innovation Award judge. We'll talk about what the Global Innovation Awards are, what your role as a judge is, how you'll be interacting with teams, how you'll be assessing the students' work, and we'll bring it all together with a practice judging session. Let's jump right in. The Global Innovation Awards is an international competition that encourages students to be innovators and inventors. Students in grades 4 through 8 form teams and use their research, engineering design, and entrepreneurship skills to create an innovative product. They're encouraged to find a problem that matters to them and invent a solution that could bring lots of added value to the community that they care about. As a volunteer judge, one of your jobs is to help us determine which team will move on to the next round of judging. At the end of this month, one team will be selected to represent New York City and compete against other teams from around the world. The top 20 teams in the world will be invited to attend the Global Innovation Awards ceremony on June 28th, and they'll have the opportunity to pitch to industry leaders. It's an exciting opportunity for all of our students, so let's talk about what they've prepared this year. Every year, the Global Innovation Awards has a new theme and a new prompt. This year, the theme of the competition is fitness and exercise. The prompt asks teams to identify a problem related to people not being active enough, research the problem, and come up with a solution by designing a new piece of technology or improving on an existing one. This prompt is intentionally broad and allows teams to tackle it from several different angles. We expect to see a wide variety of both problems and solutions. After a lot of hard work researching their problem and developing a solution, teams prepare a 5-minute product pitch and a model or drawing to represent their solution. All of their hard work culminates in a 5-minute pitch that you'll be seeing. Teams will also have some sort of visual representation of their invention. It might be a drawing on paper, a Lego model, or even a 3D printed model. If they do have a model, it doesn't have to be functional, but it should help you better understand how their invention works. You and the 2 other judges in your room will be working together to evaluate your teams. However, while teams are still in the room with you, you'll actually be acting as both judges and mentors. Since the competition is open to all students between grades 4 and 8, you're going to see a wide range of skill levels and levels of preparation. Some of our teams are just here to gain experience, while others are here to win. Some have better access to experts and adults who can help them. And especially during the pandemic, some may simply have had more time to work on their projects. That's why it's so important that you offer support when you feel it's needed and probe and challenge the team's thinking where you think it's appropriate. Be aware that students are sensitive to your body language and nonverbal cues and try to be a reassuring presence in the room. We want our teams to walk away with valuable feedback and feel confident that they can improve when they come back next year. Let's go over the logistics of how you'll be interacting with teams. Before the day of the competition, we will provide you with a link to your Zoom room, a link to the rubric form, a list of team names that you'll be seeing, a judging script, and a list of sample questions. You will be working with 2 other volunteer judges during your shift. A new round of judging begins every 30 minutes. New York City First staff will be responsible for getting a new team into your Zoom room. When a team arrives, you'll confirm their team name and introduce yourself as their judges. Please be aware that 1 to 2 adult coaches will also be allowed in the room to help the team with any technical issues, such as sharing a PowerPoint presentation. They will have their cameras and microphones turned off otherwise. Once the team is set up and ready to go, they'll have 5 minutes to present. Afterwards, you'll have 5 minutes to ask them questions. After the team leaves the room, you and the other two judges will discuss what you've heard and fill out one rubric collectively for the team. I would highly encourage that judges figure out who's going to do the introductions, who's going to help with timekeeping, and who's going to submit the rubric for the judging team beforehand. Finally, you'll be asked to submit a ranking of the teams that you saw at the end of the day, so it's helpful to rank each team against the others right after you see them. The judging rubric that you're going to use is available as a Google form. You can go to bit.ly/GIA rubric to see it right now. As mentioned before, your judging panel will collectively submit one rubric per team. You will be evaluating the team using 6 different criteria. For 5 of those criteria, the team can score a beginning, developing, accomplished, or exceeds. If a team scores exceeds in any area, you'll need to fill in a comment box explaining why you felt like they exceeded the expectations laid out on the rubric. Let's take a closer look at what those expectations are. The first section of the rubric is called Identify, and it asks if the team has a clearly defined problem. You'll notice that the clarity of the problem statements can be subjective, so it's important that you discuss your thoughts with the rest of the judging panel to come to a consensus. The second section is called Innovation Impact, and it asks how much of an impact you think the solution has. Now, the teams have seen this rubric beforehand, so they're aware that you'll only be able to evaluate the impact of their invention with as much information as they've given you. So you should hear about the impact explicitly in their presentation. The third section of the rubric is called Create, and it has 2 criteria inside of it. The first part of Create asks if a team used a clear development process with evaluation and verification at different steps. This includes sharing their idea, getting feedback, and testing different versions of their invention. We encourage teams to use an iterative process to refine their invention, and many experienced teams will demonstrate that. Now, the second part of Create asks if teams have a detailed drawing or model of their invention that better helps you understand its functionality. As mentioned, the model itself doesn't need to be able to do exactly what the final invention does, but it should help you better understand what the product will look like and how it will be used. The next part of the rubric is called Implementation, and it asks if the team has considered what they will need to do to bring the product to market. This is where the costs and feasibility will come into play. Accomplished teams will not only have done the research and come up with a price, they'll also have confirmed the feasibility of their product with the professionals in their field. Finally, there's a question at the bottom of the rubric that asks if the team demonstrates an intent to implement. If a team has shown that they're ready to take the next steps and actually turn their project into a real product, you would check yes here. Be aware that teams are under no obligation to do so, and they should not be ranked based on whether or not they intend to turn their idea into a real product. At the end of the rubric, there's space to leave comments for the team. Please take time to fill out these comment boxes. Our teams find these comments very valuable and use them to improve for future competitions. Your great job comments will highlight the things that the team did well, and your think about comments will let them know where they can improve. Now that you've seen the rubric, let's try judging a team. For context, this team was given a prompt to improve the city that they live in. As you're listening to the presentation, take notes about the questions you would ask them in order to better understand their project. Questions that help you fill out the rubric are always good. When the presentation is over, feel free to fill out the rubric as if they were a real team that you're evaluating. You don't need to submit the rubric, but try to come up with some comments that you would leave as well. Without further ado, let's check out this presentation.
I am here in Rodensville to learn more about a very common problem in homes and public buildings all over the world. Tell us, Mayor, what What are the problems you face with rodents?
Mice and rats turn on drywall, insulation, and wires in homes. But did you know that 25% of unknown house fires are thought to be due to rodents? In the United States alone, 21 million homes are infested each year as they look for a safe place to nest. They also carry many potentially fatal diseases, including rabies, salmonella, and hantavirus.
So you'd say that mice and rats are a big problem everywhere?
Yes, according to researcher Dr. Pimenta, more than $19 billion worth of damage is done by rodents in the U.S. each year. New York spends $32 million, and Chicago spends $12 million. They are a big problem everywhere.
Luckily, the Four has a solution to this worldwide problem. Introducing rodent-repelling house wrap, a rodent-repelling insulation using ferret pheromones embedded in polysocyanide board.
We developed this because everyone has tried using traps, but they don't always work. Some people use poisons, but not only is that dangerous to your pets and your children, it's also dangerous to wildlife if they eat the poison rodents.
There had to be a better way. We first considered natural smells, like peppermint, vinegar, or even something like dryer sheets, but these weren't strong enough and their scents didn't last.
Then we learned that rodents have a special organ above the roof of their mouth called a vomeronasal organ, or VNO. The organ connects to a special part in their brain. When a rodent detects a predator's pheromones in its VNO, the reaction is pure fear. So we thought we should use pheromones to keep them away from our houses.
We first wanted to put our pheromones in fiberglass insulation, but after talking with local home builder Eric Douglas, he told us about PIR board. We watched videos and learned that PIR board is made by sandwiching wet foam between 2 layers of coating and letting it cure. Our pheromones could be embedded after the curing. PIR board can be installed in homes or commercial buildings underneath the siding. When mice and rats come looking for a safe place to nest, they'll be turned off by the pheromones in the foam. Their instinct will cause them to run even if there is no predator.
There are no pheromones available on the market, so we needed to make our own in the lab. Our science advisor, Dr. Dan Samzo, helped us with this. After taking ferret fur, it was soaked in acetonitrile overnight. It was then dried in nitrogen gas and redissolved in non-toxic DMSO. This is the crude extract we've been using in our experiments.
To do our experiments, we purchased 5 tame test mice. I was a handler. We marked their tails on our tests used consistent line test conditions. They were tested for 5 minutes each with a DMSO only control side and ferret treated test side. After running 15 tests, the average results were 2 minutes and 41 seconds spent on the control side.
We have learned from Dr. Orrick and Dr. Newman that wild mice are basically a different species than tame ones, so we knew we had to run an experiment with a wild mouse to see how it reacted. We made 2 small houses of PIR. One was injected with our extract. The houses were built exactly the same and mated with peanut butter. Our wild mouse chewed up the control house, but left the ferret extract house alone. The tame mouse results were encouraging, but the wild mouse showed it will work in the real world.
According to John Smanville, a 4x8 sheet of PIR board costs approximately $9.60 to make and sells for $20. There are no ferret pheromones available, so we compared costs with cat pheromones. After calculations, it would only add $1.19 per sheet of PIR, bringing the production cost of rodent-repelling house wrap to $10.79 a board.
We surveyed 221 USA homeowners online and in person, and 44% would pay between $500 and $1,500 extra for our product. This could result in a price increase of 50% or $30 HL sheet. This price increase would cover the regulation costs of PIR. The FM or YOL certifications can cost up to $250,000.
We've worked with many experts this year as we developed our idea. We talked to builders and an exterminator. We've emailed and called numerous researchers and scientists. We read lots of research papers and emailed with our authors. Our team has applied for a provisional patent, and according to Lance Wang, R&D engineer at Johns Manville, the idea is very good. I'm amazed at how much you've already achieved.
Our next steps are currently on hold due to COVID-19, but we've got a plan and can't wait to discuss it with you.
Rodent-repelling house wrap is no-kill, safe, and undetectable to humans, and installs easily. We're so excited to bring our products to the market and solve this problem for over 21 million homeowners. We'll keep our homes safe. Our no-kill solution will stop the worldwide problem of rodent infestations.
Mayor,
we got your problem solved!
You can pause the training video here to fill out your rubric. How did you think you did? Well, every judging panel is going to come up with a slightly different rubric, but this team is probably somewhere up there in the accomplished level for most of the criteria. I hope this was a fun and interesting experience for you, and we can't wait to see you on competition day. If you have any questions at all, please email me at lisa@nycfirst.org. Thank you again for volunteering, and I hope to see you soon.